Welcome to another episode of Make Mental Health Matter. On Wednesdays, I talk to guests who have a story. They've been through something in their life, an experience or whatever it might be, and really giving you that place of hope. My goal for our Wednesday show is to give you information and allow you to possibly see yourself or somebody else within the stories that are told on Warrior Wednesday and be able to use that information so that you know that there's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. There are people out there that really want to help and are willing to help. So, today, I don't have a guest, which is actually really perfect because there are lots of things and lots of updates that I've been talking about over the last couple of months. And I wanted to do an update, especially with August coming to a close. And we're rolling into September, which happens to be National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. There are lots of activities that BCC Evolution will be doing. There's lots of activities that other nonprofits like the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, I think NAMI has one. I think there's quite a few different organizations that really have things that they're doing in this month. So I wanted to give you an update, and I know I have been talking a lot about the Climb for Mind that myself and my friend Phillip did. So it wasn't this weekend, but the weekend before that, I successfully completed 7.75 ascents up the mountain. So each ascent up the mountain was about 2.25 miles. I mean, my watch calculated a little bit farther, but that was probably like going in and out of the aid stations, and I don't know what else, maybe walking to the gondola, I don't know. But ultimately, I was going up for my 8th ascent, and I only had about 2 hours, an hour and a half. It was like an hour and a half to get up the mountain. I got to the second aid station and pretty much ran out of time. I had about 37 minutes, but I knew what I had to get up to complete it. And I was just done. My body was done. My mind was done. Every single ounce of my feet hurt. I had blisters that I could feel them. And I knew my goal was to leave it all on the mountain. No matter how many times I got up that mountain, my goal was to leave it all on the mountain. And at that moment, when I got to aid station number 2, I knew that I had left it all on the mountain. And I was content with going back down, which what ended up on a side by side, which was pretty fun because I got like the back tour of the mountain. But I just knew that I wasn't going to make it in time. And I was literally the last person on the course with the instructors, not instructors, but with some of the coaches like coming up behind us. They ultimately, there's 2 of them. So one caught up with me, and everybody had said, they're like, you don't want Coach Brent or Coach Chris to catch up with you because that means you're running out of time. And so I kept having that in my mind. I was like, I gotta go. And I was trying, and I just like, my body hurt, my legs hurt, my feet hurt. I was like, I'm doing this. I gotta go. And Coach Brent caught up to me, and he said, you've got to pick up your pace. If you want to complete this, you've got to pick up your pace. He's like, you've got to do longer strides and not take as many breaks. And so I was going. I was like, all right, that's good advice. I'll breathe when I need to breathe, and I'll go. And he kept looking back a couple of times because he hung out with me for a few minutes and then started going and had to finish clearing and making sure that everybody was up the mountain. And he kept looking back. He's like, good job. Keep going. You got this. Keep going. And I kept going and I kept going. And I got to the first aid station and I was just feeling really lightheaded. Like I did a turn and burn on my last one because I was like, I only have so much time. I gotta go. And my kid actually was the factor. As some people at the bottom, they're like, do you have any gas left in the tank? Have you left it all on the mountain? Do you have enough to do an eighth? Like you have enough time if you can get up there and do it. And I looked at my son and I was like, do you think mommy should go for an eighth? Because I was so content at 7. Like 7 was my best lap. It was the fastest that I got up the mountain of all of them. And I was feeling good because I think in my mind I was just done. I was like, this is my last one. Like I got this. And I was having fun and it was cool. I like was going up. I went up the mountain the fastest that I have of all of them because in my brain, I was like, this is my last one. Like I'm good at 7. I almost stopped after 3, actually. My third was the hardest one that I did, and that was on day 1. And I was just, my hip flexors had locked up on my second ascent up. I went into the recovery room and I had them work it out. And then I was like hanging out for a minute, went up for my third, and it was my hardest because I don't think I got them worked out enough. And so ultimately my third ascent up the mountain was my hardest. And I got to that top and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I am in so much pain. Like my hip hurts, like it's locking up. So I went down to the bottom and I had some dinner. I decided that, or lunch, I think it was lunch at that point. I actually had missed lunch, but they still had food. So I got some food and I was like, I'm done. And my family was like, we're so proud of you for even making it up the mountain 3 times. Like, if you're done, you're done. Like, we get it. It's fine. And I was like, I'm just going to hang out for a little while. So I stayed at the base for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I was like, I'm feeling much better. Like, I feel like my body has recovered a little bit. I'm going to try for a 4th. And so I did. That first day I went up for my 4th and it was a good run. Like I was having fun. I was talking to people. It was actually the run that took me, I think, the longest out of all of them because I ended up in the aid station. So there were 2 aid stations up the mountain. And on the second one, I happened to talk to his name, or goes by Cowbell Rob. He is very well known in the 29029 Everesting community. And he also was an addict that is now an athlete. And of course, that is like the perfect connection for me with what I do with BCC Evolution. So I sat in that aid station probably a little bit too long, but I love the connection. It was so great to have that connection. And so I ended up going up the mountain and I was just having fun and it felt good. Like my body felt good. By the time I came back down, it was about 7:30 at night. And dinner was ready. And ultimately, I was just exhausted from the day. I am not a climber. I don't ever claim to be a climber. And I definitely did not train enough before I did this challenge. And I realized that when I got on the mountain, the first ascent up, I was like, what in the heck did I get myself into? But I went and I went until I was just exhausted. I was like, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to eat some dinner. I'm going to try to go to bed early and then I'll wake up really, really early and continue to climb. And so I was really, really proud of myself for after that third one. Like I was done, like mentally, emotionally, physically. I just felt so drained and so done. And I pushed myself to go for a 4th. And then it shifted. It shifted into, well, I can do this. Like I can get it going. And that was huge because if you've been watching the show for a while, you know that I have a lot of tools. I have a lot of resources. I have been on this mental health journey for over 6 years now. I have lots of certifications. I've learned a lot about how our brain works. It's super fascinating. I love the conversations with all my guests that I have. And so when they were talking about, they're like, you're going to get in your own head. It's going to happen at some time at one point on the mountain. You're going to probably say to yourself, I can't do this. I am tired. I don't have the energy. Like, I'm done. It happens to everybody. You're going to have those negative thoughts that happen in your head, and you're going to have to need to like reframe those and shift them and get out of your own head, or you're not going to finish this. And I was like, psh, I have all the resources that I need. I have my neurolinguistic programming, that I know how to reframe things. That's something that I talk about all the time on my show. I talk about it all the time when I'm on stage. Like, these are things that I know and I understand. I had already imagined myself putting on that red hat, doing 13 ascents of the mountain. Like, I had embodied what that felt like to be in that position. And I was like, psh, I got this. Oh, I got that reality check. I got a big reality check of, I can't do this. This hurts. My body hurts. My hips hurt. Like, everything on my body was just horrible. And I was exhausted. I was just purely exhausted. And I thought that I had all the things. I thought that I was able to reframe what was going on. I thought that, I could do it. And I got a reality check for sure. And I know that the mountain taught me patience. It taught me perseverance. It taught me how to breathe. It taught me that I didn't train enough, and it taught me community. Like, so going back to that I think it was my fourth. They all kind of blur together at this point, but it was like my fourth up, and I was like, this community, it's so strong. Everybody, no matter how many ascents they're on, whether they're on their first or they're on their seventh already, they're so amazing and helpful inside this community that you just want to keep going. You want to keep pushing, because you're like, man, my friend just went up again and I'm here sitting at the base. If they can do it, I can do it. And I met some pretty cool people along the way. There was one woman, her name was Brittany. She actually broke her pelvis a couple weeks before and had surgery, and she was still on that mountain. She was going at a really slow pace, which is okay. Her and I went side by side for quite some time on one of the runs, and that was okay. Like, I was okay being at a slower pace. I gave her motivation. She gave me motivation. I was like, heck, if she can do it, I can do it. And so that's what we did. Like, I did that with multiple different people that were really, really struggling. And I think that was, whoo, that was the purpose. Like, why I was there was to help others, to make those connections, to be a part of this community that I didn't even know was a community. So fast forward to the next day, I woke up early and I was on that mountain by 5:30, I think it was. And I started going. So I'm on my fifth lap. I'm going, sixth. I do the seventh. And I was trying to calculate the time, make sure that I had enough time. And I was like, I don't think I'll have enough time to get an eighth in. And that's okay, because I'll try. We'll see how fast I go today. But I'll try to get a fourth for the second day, which would be my eighth. And so coming down on the seventh, I was feeling really good. Like, I had so much energy. And even Coach Brent at the base, he was like, do you need some calories? And I was like, no, I think I'm good. Like, I just had a Coke on the way down and I've been snacking. Like, I think I'm good. He's like, well, you need to know that you're going to need some calories. So when you get to a station one, make sure you get some calories. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I was like, why Why, Kelli? Why? Why did you start this eighth ascent? Like, why? Why are you trying to like do this? Right? I could feel it the moment that I start going on the eighth. That first sharp, long, steep hill, the ascent. Why? Why did I just listen to my kid? Why did I listen to those people? But I'm going to do this for my kid. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And I get to aid station 1 and I was like, man, I feel like it was hot by this time of the day. Like it was the hottest run that I had done, because the one before there was a lot of cloud cover. And then this one, the sun decided to come out on the very last lap. They decided to come out and it was hot, and I was hot, and I could feel those blisters on both of my feet. And I was like, why did I choose to do another one? So I'm going. I'm like, man, I'm going to go as far as I can. And then I got to aid station 1. That was fine. I got a little bit of calories, drank some more water, started up, and I was like, as long as I can get to aid station number 2, I feel like I personally have left it all on the mountain, and I know I'm going to run out of time. So I'm thinking like, right. So Coach Brett has now caught up to me. He gives me all those tips. He tells me that I need to go faster. So I start going a little bit faster. Then he's like, don't worry about Chris or where he's at. And that's all I could think about was when Coach Chris was going to come up, take me off the mountain. Cause I said, well, what if he catches up to me? Does that mean I'm done? Like wherever I'm at? And he's like, yeah, but don't think about that. And so my brain's like automatically thinking about that. Well, when is Coach Chris going to come up? And so I keep looking behind and I keep going. And I'm like, as long as I can get to aid station number 2, I feel like I've left it all out on the mountain. I am hot. I am tired. My body hurts. Like this is what I came here to do, was leave it all on the mountain. So I made it to aid station 2, and guess who comes up right at that moment? It was Coach Chris. And he was like, you have 37 minutes. You can get to the top. And I knew there was like a steep pitch, a little bit of like a sort of straight away, not really. Then you go another steep pitch, and then you kind of do these switchbacks to get up to the very top of the gondola. And I knew what was left. I knew that I probably couldn't get it in 37 minutes if I pushed myself, but I was already like feeling every single ounce of my body. And I just started crying. I was like, I'm good. Like I feel lightheaded. I know I should have eaten. I should have gotten some calories like Coach Brett said, and I didn't. And I knew I left it all on the mountain. So for me, getting 7.75 ascents up the mountain was amazing. And I persevered, and I even kept going after the third run that I didn't want to do it anymore. And I'm so proud of myself for accomplishing what I did. Phillip ended up getting 10. So he was at a much faster pace than I was the first day. And he got 6 the first day. I got 4 the first day. And so he got 4 the second day, and I got 3 the second, 3.5 the second day. So much faster pace, but ultimately we did what we could and left it all on the mountain. He was having some breathing problems the very first day, and that kind of got him into his head. So he stopped for overnight, but we did what we could. And these are the amazing, awesome shirts that we ended up getting printed for the climb. So I talked to everybody that I possibly could about the names. So I just want to say thank you to all of you that supported BCC Evolution through this climb. These are the names of the loved ones that were lost and or survivors. This quadrant on this green part are actually people that I know, people that are close to my heart, people that so I have my sister, I have my 2 cousins. One died by suicide, one died by overdose. I have an ex who died of liver failure after complications with alcoholism, and then another one who also died of substance use. And then we have my husband's grandpa, who died by suicide, and one of my board members' sons, who just last year in November died of suicide. Everybody else on the shirt were from our donors. And a lot of these names came from Intuit. So the Intuit QuickBooks accounting team, you guys are amazing. They had a lot of names that they put on here. I also have friends who have lost their loved ones that also donated and put your names on here too. So thank you so much. On the back, I don't think I can like fully turn. Let's see. You get kind of the gist. But we have the Climb for Mine, the logo, and then all of the names of the sponsors. I should have brought one of the other shirts, but I didn't. The name of the sponsors of the companies who sponsored it. So I just want to say thank you so much to all of you that donated, those of you that put names. I kept them close to my heart, and were able to share the message with those that would listen. So our total, and this is what I wanted to share, the total that we made it to was $11,193 of the $60,000 that we wanted to raise. That is amazing. So thank you so much. Minus the $6,000 that it was for the entry fee, all of the rest went towards BCC Evolution programs. So I'm not a whiz at math, but that's about 5,000 and some, a little over $5,000 that went towards BCC Evolution, outside of the entry fee to get into 29029. But it was an amazing experience. What I want to share about that is if I can do it, anybody can do it. And we really have these tools and this information to be able to shift our perspective. Even when we think we can't go anymore, we can. There's a way, there's a will, there's perseverance. We're resilient. We're born resilient. As I talked to my guest, actually, one of my guests last week, we talked about resilience. We're born with resilience. As a toddler, we get up, we fall down. We get up, we fall down. We get up, we fall down. We learn how to walk. We learn how to crawl. We learn how to speak. We learn how to eat, right? Like we're born with this resilience, this persistence. And I definitely proved to myself that I still have that within me to be able to keep going. And it is so helpful to be able to share the names and be able to showcase all of you that helped and donated. So thank you, thank you, thank you. That is my August update for the climb. I've had guests on since then, so I wasn't able to give a proper update. So I wanted to give that to you now. What we're going to do is go to a quick sponsored break. Once I come back, we're going to talk a little bit as we move into September, which is National Suicide Awareness Month, and tell you a little bit more about that. So we'll be right. I will be right back after these messages.
Hi, this is Ken D. Foster, the host of the Voices of Courage show. Join us live on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific, where we help you see the unseeable, know the unknowable, and do the impossible on E360 TV.
And like that, I'm back. I don't know if you have ever actually paid attention to that sponsored commercial that I do on every single show. If you haven't yet, maybe you rewind and go back or watch this again, but it is all about our Warriors for Mental Health monthly donor program that BCC Evolution has to be able to support all of our programs. If you're not familiar with the programs of BCC Evolution, we have awareness, conversation, and education, all of them for mental health. All of them have different things that we offer within the programs themselves. But the biggest one that we fund out of all of the programs is the education for mental health. That includes all of our classes that we offer, like mental health first aid. We do have a Give Youth a Voice program, which is currently in redesign. It wasn't as effective with what we were doing. So we have a whole team that are actually redesigning and remarketing that program right now, which is amazing. BCC Evolution was selected through the Denver Chamber of Commerce to be a part of their Impact Denver program. What they do is they give us a team of professionals and marketing experts, lawyers, nonprofit experts, people in leadership roles, and ultimately they help us to redesign whatever program or thing that our nonprofit is doing. So there were, I think, 7 or 8 nonprofits that were selected, and BCC Evolution was one of those. So I'm super excited to revamp and redesign that program, which ultimately my vision, and has always been my vision for it, is that it fits somewhere in the middle school range, because you may or may not know, but middle school is generally that demographic that we don't have as many resources for, but they are the ones that have and where mental health challenges really start. You have your hormones, you have you're growing up, right? You're going from elementary into this middle school or junior high, and then you're not quite into the high school yet, but now your hormones, like your body's changing, you're growing, all of these things are happening. And that is generally the demographic that is the least served and having the most challenges happen. So in the mental health space, we know that on average, mental health challenges start around the age of 10, but it can start even earlier. Now we're seeing them start even earlier. And in Colorado, suicide is actually the first leading cause of death for ages 10 to 14. So with knowing that stat, that's where our Give Youth a Voice program, my vision for it is where it kind of lives. So we're lucky enough to have this incredible team that are helping support building that by the end of this year, and then being able to launch it fully. We also offer our Breaking the Cycle of Trauma, which is for adults. It really it's more of a level up, like really understanding the brain, understanding how trauma affects us throughout the maturation periods as we mature and grow up. And also I have some stories in there of people who have been through trauma within their life, how it affected them, and then really that key piece of hope in there too. The last section of that is really building a safety and self-care plan for a person, just an individual that might need extra support through whatever they're going through, which is really, really important for anyone, whether you experience a mental health or substance use challenge, suicidal ideation, or any any experience really. Like if you know the basis of where you can go, who can help you, how your mind, like I was talking about earlier, how my mind got into that negative pattern of, I can't do this. I don't want to do this anymore. My body hurts. I'm giving up. I'm done after 3. Well, with a safety self-care plan, I can shift my mindset into a safe space. I can shift my mindset and think of those things that make me happy. I know those resources within myself. And it's built off of a triangle, which is the strongest structure in the world. So it's built in 3s, because that makes it even more strong. So our education for mental health has lots of different levels of education within it. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So BCC Evolution, we have our Warriors for Mental Health monthly donor program that's really it. All the money that we collect there goes back into our programs, whether that's us being able to provide a free mental health first aid class to whether it's rural communities. I was like, what is the word? Come on. Rural communities, low income communities, the BIPOC community, wherever we can go in and provide those services to those that need it the most. That's where our funds go. So I want to show you, and well, I'm hoping that my screen actually shares. Probably should have tested this before, but hey, all right, so let me show you how this program works if you are curious. So BCC Evolution, did I share the right one? Let's see. We'll see if it works. Oh, hey, there it goes. All right. So this is our warrior program that we offer. So give hope, give help, become a warrior for mental health today. You have seen my shirt many, many, many times, but you get one of these awesome Warrior for Mental Health shirts as a warrior. But why should you donate? Because again, it goes back to all of BCC Evolution's programs. We are able to offer that support to those lower income communities, BIPOC communities, and really anyone who needs the critical mental health resources and education. And how you do it, you donate at least $19 or more per month. And then you can get your shirt and show it to the world that you are also a warrior for mental health. These are some of our previous warriors. You may or may not know, but a lot of them are from the Broadway show Hamilton. I just so happen to have gone to high school with one of the actors, and I got a lot of the Hamilton. So that's Greg, my friend. He got them distributed to the Hamilton cast, and it was pretty cool because several of them posted with their shirts on. So thank you for your support, Hamilton cast. But all you have to do is click this big button that says sign up now. And or if you are a business, a corporation, an organization, there are different levels of sponsorships for you here. You can go to the business level sponsorships, and that gives you the ability to donate quarterly versus monthly, because we know with businesses generally it's like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. That just gives you the ability to donate quarterly versus monthly, but you can do either or. More pictures and again how and what you are actually sponsoring is in here. So if you don't know, I do a support group for grief and loss every single week. This also gives us the ability to offer those support groups for free. And there are also other other things that we do. So go check it out. But that is what you, or how you can become a warrior for mental health. Literally, click the button, and sign up to become a warrior. Here is the website. Again, bccevolution.org. Really easy. Just make sure you spell evolution right. You can go to .com too, and it'll take you there also. This is the actual website that will get you directly to the Warriors for Mental Health. But all you have to do is click on the main page is get involved, and then go to Warrior for Mental Health. So with September being National Suicide Awareness Month, I want to talk to you about some of the statistics, some of the things that I have seen over my career, again, with BCC Evolution, all the certifications, all of the training that I have taken and now give back to the community through our classes, through our events, through me speaking on stage. Suicide, they said, actually, so Colorado is where we are based, but all of our classes are virtual. So you don't have to be in Colorado to take a class, which is awesome, right? I have trained people in New York. I have trained people in California. I have trained people, I'm trying to think the last class. We did a good run for Colorado, New Mexico, Wyoming, and Nevada. We had all the rural community teachers that I trained last year into this year. So we've actually, I I always say we because I do have an amazing team behind me. My board members are incredible. I do have an amazing team that helps me across the board. And that's why I say we all the time, because I feel like it's a collective. I am currently the only educator within BCC Evolution, but I have access to a whole list of educators across the country, at least for mental health first aid. So this year, I already have done 10 classes at the beginning of the year. Unfortunately, our classes in between have not filled up. I haven't done great promoting and marketing, so that's on me 100%. But I was able to train multiple teachers across Colorado, Nevada, Wyoming, and I think we had some Kansas mixed in there too. In those rural communities that didn't have the resources or the funding to be able to pay for it. So all of them were free. I actually collaborated with 2 graduate students from the University of Northern Colorado that got grant funding to be able to do these classes, which was amazing. So we were able to offer these classes free to these communities that didn't have access to that funding. And so that's what I mean is we're able to offer these to rural communities, to lower income communities, again, across not the world. So I do have to stay within the United States, but I can still do them all virtual, which is awesome. So mental health first aid is that kind of entry level of our classes. And then from there, we offer our own proprietary, which is the Breaking the Cycle of Trauma. And it's just that level up, more about the brain. And then we have a couple levels after that, but I won't overwhelm you. So how do we do this? We do this through the funding from our Warriors for Mental Health monthly donors. So again, with only $19 or more per month, all of that goes into our programs to be able to educate people across the US. And with our own curriculum, it can be across the world, which is really super cool. And then we partner with worldwide neuro-linguistic programming to be able to offer practitioner certifications. And we have lots of collaborations across the board. So just looking to educate people, have that conversation that nobody wants to have, and then bring that awareness to all of those things that can potentially help your mental health, like our We have a creative art director, Carly. She is incredible on our board. She brings paint pouring. We have Liana, who is really loves like the travel aspect and really heading the charge on our BIPOC community because she knows how important it was in her life. As a Black woman, she knows that travel was something that she may not have had access to, and she knows within that community that sometimes there's lower income and they don't have access. So being able to provide and support, like, travel's huge. Travel is a big thing for your mental health, as long as you don't get stressed out on traveling. And then music has been a huge part of my life. They have these sayings like, so Kelli and I were talking last week about music in general and how it really can have a profound effect on your mental health. And when you're sad, you understand the lyrics, and when you're happy, you just hear the music. So it's been profound in my life, and definitely is part of that awareness. Like, what are those alternative things that you can do for your mental health? You can go get educated, take one of our classes. We can have a conversation. You can find somebody within our trusted resource hub that you can connect with and have those conversations, or come to me. Let's have the conversation, or let's talk about that awareness of what are those alternative things that you can do. And if you happen to watch Monday's episode, I had a woman who was a conversational hypnosis, which is also an alternative modality that you can, like, literally talk through whatever you're going through, and it helps on the subconscious or the unconscious mind versus that monkey brain that keeps chattering, right? So there's a lot of alternative options to help your mental health. Talking about suicide, the biggest things or reasons why people contemplate suicide and or look to take their own life is because they feel like they're a burden. They feel like nobody cares. They feel like whatever event is happening right now is never going to go away. I used to personally think that people were being selfish if they ever considered suicide. One thing I used to say is if you commit, was the word that I used, commit suicide, I would never go to your funeral. Well, I got a big reality check when my sister passed. I didn't actually think she would actually complete it. I thought that it was a cry for help, but that help never got answered. And that was the problem. She was a giver. She was a helper. She was a caregiver, like literally a caregiver for a paraplegic. She was a CPR instructor. The same goes for like comedians like Robin Williams. He gave his heart and soul and was hilarious. But little did we know he had a substance use disorder. He drank a lot, which happens often with comedians. They give and give and give, and there's nothing left for them. Musicians, we've seen it with Chester, with Chris Connolly. You know, they gave and gave and gave their heart and soul, everything into their music, but they had substance use disorders or substance use challenges. I don't like to use that word, disorder. Substance use challenges that led to them completing the act of suicide. There was probably a lot more that went on. You look at Twitch, the dancer, you would have never in a million years, at least for me, like I would have never thought that he would complete suicide. And if you don't know who he is, he was on So You Think You Can Dance, which is my favorite show, like of all time. Dancing is definitely my thing. And you would have never known. He was happy-go-lucky. from what we saw, right? Like there wasn't any obvious mental health or substance use challenges that he was going through, but he chose to take his own life. We'll never know why. There's so many people out there that just feel completely alone. But I want you to also understand about suicide is that it's not abnormal to have suicidal thoughts. You may be driving down the road and you're like, I could just go off the side of the road. Would anybody notice? Or I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep. And I don't want to wake up. I'm a burden on everybody around me. Why can't I get unstuck from this place that I'm stuck in? What is wrong with me? Why am I having this problem? Why do I keep going to the substance? Why do I keep doing this? Nobody's going to like me. I had trauma. I've been abused. Everybody I've been with beats me. Everybody hates me. I don't have any friends. I don't have anyone to turn to. My life is not valuable. I have these thoughts all the time, and I don't know what I'm experiencing. Nobody cares. I can't talk to anybody. They're just going to lock me up. Those are thoughts that people have. People who experience suicidal thoughts or people who have other mental health challenges, personality disorders, schizophrenia, when you have hallucinations or delusions, there's a lot of things that go into suicidal thoughts. But there are a lot of ways that we can get educated. There's a lot of ways that we can teach people how to recognize those signs and those symptoms, know what to listen for, know what to watch out for, to be able to move people through those thoughts. I'm not saying that we're going to change the entire world. It's never going to stop. It's not. We have to come to that reality of it's not. And if somebody chooses to die by suicide, it's not your fault. That's hard too. Because we have survivor's guilt, suicide within their family or those people that are closest to them have a higher rate of completing suicide. That's a fact. And last year in 2022, at least in Colorado, we had the highest rates of suicide. It didn't go down. It went up. We didn't have stats. The stats were bad, which is really interesting coming out of this pandemic. People are noticing that they're having more mental health challenges than ever before. The feeling of being alone, the feeling of fear, the feeling of being a burden, the feeling of being scared of the world is coming out now. And we're having the highest rates of mental health challenges. So that's why the work that BCC Evolution does is so important. What we do within our organization is so important to get people educated, to get people understanding these things and how they can help somebody else. There's two ways to ask the question. Are you thinking about killing yourself? Are you thinking about suicide? Are you thinking about killing yourself? Are you thinking about suicide? They're hard questions to ask. Our brain needs clarity. And those are the two questions you should ask somebody if you're concerned about them completing suicide. You also may notice how I talk about suicide. I use the word completed or died by instead of committed, because committed is more like committing a crime, committing a sin, being committed to a facility. And so we're trying to change the verbiage around how we talk about suicide. The other big thing that the media does is they talk about how somebody completes suicide. Don't talk about the how. It's not important. And when you talk about the how, that's how people learn how to do it. So stop talking about the how and just talk about it as if they completed suicide. It doesn't matter how they did it. We need to start shifting these words, shifting our verbiage, shifting our ways of thinking. And these are all things that you can learn if you come take a class with me. These are all things that you will help to support if you support BCC Evolution. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Will you please go sign up to be a warrior for mental health? Get one of our cool t-shirts. I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to take your t-shirt. I want you to take my t-shirt. I want you to show the world that you are a warrior for mental health. I want you to have that conversation when somebody sees you down the street wearing one of our shirts. I want to have that conversation that I'm a warrior, or I want to have the conversation when I'm wearing this about the names that are on my shirt. It's important. It's important that we start having these conversations to break down the stigma and actually start saving lives. I promise you, I have been told many, many times that had I not asked that question of somebody, they wouldn't be around today. Learning how to have the conversations, learning when to ask those questions is the most important thing that you can possibly do. So one more time, I'm going to ask you to go support BCC Evolution by becoming a Warrior for Mental Health monthly donor in the month of September, which is National Suicide Awareness Month. We have lots of other events that are also coming up. We have a big summit that we are doing here on E360 TV on September 10th, which is World Suicide Prevention Day. So join me back, especially on September 10th, for the speaker summit. And I will give you even more information as we go along with the guests for the next couple of weeks. But I wanted to share all of those things with you today. And please ask for your help and become a warrior for mental health. Our goal is to get 1,000 new warriors. And you can be one of those to show your support. And we will update you with the wonderful. If you don't, you're like, Kelli, I believe in you. I believe in your cause. I believe what you're doing is important. I just want to say thank you so much for your support from the bottom of my heart. I started this nonprofit as something that I wanted to do to save lives. And I never thought it was a journey that I would follow along, but it is a journey and it's been very, very rewarding. I am glad I'm able to give you the information and the tools. And I appreciate you supporting BCC Evolution and becoming a warrior for mental health today. So be sure to join me back next week on Monday. I know it is Labor Day, I think, next week. But we may have a special that we will show that day. We'll see. I don't know. I don't plan these things out, but no matter what, make sure that you join me for the next episode and go sign up to be a warrior for mental health here on the website. I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.